On the frigid night of March 18, 1990, two men posing as uniformed police officers gained entry to the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston. By the time they left, 13 masterpieces, Degas, Rembrandt, Monet, were gone, a theft worth an estimated $500 million. No alarms sounded, no security footage exists. The paintings vanished into thin air. Today, whispers suggest a darker reality. Hollywood power players, black market collectors, and possibly even rock stars may have traded these artworks like currency in secret underground deals. This is the story of the Gardner Heist, a crime that reshaped museum security and left the world chasing shadows.
March 18, 1990 began like any other tranquil spring day in Boston. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, housed in a Venetian-style palace, attracted art lovers with its eclectic collection. At 1:24 a.m., museum security guard Rick Abath completed his overnight rounds, ensuring the Item Studios exhibit was locked and silent. Unbeknownst to him, the museum's most renowned works were about to vanish. At 1:24 a.m., two men in Boston police uniforms knocked at the side entrance. Abath, concerned about a reported disturbance nearby, welcomed them inside. They insisted they were responding to a noise complaint. What happened next wasn't logged. It was never there. No radios were a faked chatter. No alarms went off. The false officers herded Abath into the operations station and handcuffed him, asking only, "You've got to let them go through." Over the next 81 minutes, the imposter cops took 13 artworks. Vermeer's The Concert, Rembrandt's The Storm on the Sea of Galilee, his only known seascape, Degas' 3 small sketches, 2 works by Monet, a landscape by Flink, a Chinese bronze beaker, a finial from Embarcadero Heights, portraits by John Singer Sargent, a sketch by Sol LeWitt. Each stolen piece was cut from its frame, intentionally damaged by the thieves, then whisked out into the night, never to be seen again. When Guard Abath discovered the theft at 2:05 a.m., panic ensued. He called out a security alert, but the damage was already done. Media erupted. Law enforcement mobilized. One of the most senseless art crimes in U.S. history had occurred, and every lead felt cold from the start. Over the years, federal agents traced leads across art circles from Boston to Hong Kong. Inside suspects included disgraced museum insiders, shady dealers, and lone criminals. The FBI even offered a $10 million reward, one of the largest for art recovery in history. Rumors began to swirl. Famous Hollywood figures and wealthy collectors were rumored to have been offered special access to the Forge or Kingpin networks. One line of speculation involved the high-profile art collector from Los Angeles, who frequently mingled with celebs during the late 1980s. Another tipster claimed that some Gardner works were used as barter for drugs or racketeering deals involving known musicians and expensive real estate. Emails and reports circulated that paintings had passed through elite circles, sometimes ending in private estates, silent galleries, or secret storerooms. The heist exposed glaring weaknesses in museum security, from the lack of alarms to the unrecorded guard logs. In response, museums globally upgraded infrastructure with motion detectors, infrared cameras, GPS tags, and armed response protocols. Despite extensive efforts, none of the stolen art has resurfaced. In 2013, a burglary fastened onto the scheme when a Harvard researcher discovered a faint watermark on a private dealer's catalog showing an image of Storm on the Sea of Galilee. The heist remains unsolved. The most persistent theory posits that the Gardner paintings were moved far from Boston, perhaps to Europe or South America, and exchanged in secret auctions. One collector, speaking under anonymity, mentioned a whisper trade where only 3 or 4 of the Gardner works changed hands in curated corridors where confidentiality was guaranteed by brokers with gangster ties. Now, decades later, the stolen artworks are a gaping wound in art history, a memory celebrated in documentaries, books, podcasts, and TV shows. The Gardner Museum turned one empty frame into a tribute, a reminder that the canvas remains empty, not just physically, but in the cultural conscience. The museum remains open, featuring an empty frames gallery where each stolen piece once hung under the words, "Take only photographs, leave only footprints." Visitors leave silent oaths, paying tribute and hoping the lost art returns.